Hello everyone, welcome back to Jacqs and thank you for joining me today. We are going to be creating a Father's Day card for our What a Card series. And this is a little sneaky peek. I don't want to give all the goods away. So let's dig in to see what they are. To create this card, we're going to cut a piece that is 5.5 by 12, and we're going to score at 4 and 8. Now that we have our score marks, what we're going to do is make this a Z fold, and that is where this piece is going to be folded backward. The middle piece is going to be forward, and then the last piece will be folded forward as well. So it will look like this, but as a Z, not an S. It's probably easier to fold forward on our score line and then back. And then take this last piece and fold forward or over and burnish those lines. Now what I wanted to do for this card is to make it appear like it was a pair of jeans. So I had a digital kit that had a blue jean paper in it, and so that's what I've used to print out on my printer, and I used a Park Lane white paper, and I must say it makes the paper feel really neat. It's almost as if it's like a cloth, so I'm really excited about how that feels. But anyways, on to the next step of the card. Now for this next part, what you're going to need to do is cut a 1 inch by 12 inch cardstock piece of your choosing. I'm using this color here because we're making a tool belt to go on top of our jeans, so to speak. And I love this mixing of the yellow and orange to get this color. It's close to the some real tool belts if you've ever seen them. And what you'll do is place this on the top of your card, and I'm going to put it down maybe about 1/8 of an inch or so, or 1/4. I want the top of the jeans to show as if the belt was hanging down a little bit, which is typical. So then we would just tape this onto the card and go ahead and make the folds into the belt after we've glued that on there. Now, another way that you could do this is to create a decorative end, so like it's a, you know, the belt that attaches the tool belt together. So what I have here is a, I think this one is about 1 1/8. What I did on the end here is kind of angled in and created this little round knob on the end, and then I cut out like an E, or you could use some alphabets. If you have an alphabet that has an E on it, you can take that and then put it on to the strip, and it looks like, you know, the metal of the, I don't even know what it's called, the clasp or whatever that would put the belt together if you're putting it on, if you know what I mean. So that's what I'm going to do here, is use this piece. Now if you have Cricut, they do have a tool belt on there, and this is actually the one that I cut out, and I cut off a section that actually wrapped the belt around, so that's why this curves up. But I'm going to put something here. It's probably going to get covered anyways. It doesn't matter. But you could certainly take your 1 by 12 piece and make some angled cuts in it, going around. Mine won't be perfect because I'm using the wrong type of scissors. But there, it's very similar to this. But you'll just make a round knob on the end and cut inward. There, that's a better way to show you. This one keeps curling up. But it's easy enough to be done without a die cutting machine. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is to adhere the belt onto our card base, add my little E, that is the metal portion of the belt. And I'll be back. Here is our card once our belt is attached, and I'm really loving how this is coming together. It really does look like, you know, someone's jeans and a belt on there. When I started creating this, I really didn't realize that I'm going to be using a lot of Cricut items from their design space, so I apologize for that. But I'm sure you can adapt this to create without using design space. So I'm trying to tell you that as I go along. So for the front of the card, I've decided to put a sentiment on the front. Now the example that I saw had it on the inside, and I don't like that idea. I want this to say it, and then you open it for the impact kind of thing. So again, in Cricut Design Space, I'm going to be using this sentiment that says Dad fixes everything, and when it cuts out, it actually has a little hammer here, and I didn't want that on there because I created a hammer of my own, again in Cricut Design Space, and then I added, so this is silver foil, and then I added some faux leather on the handle to make it look like a real one, which is so cool. Now this is, the hammer is about 4 1/8 in height, and the Dad fixes everything is 3 inches wide. Now you could make that a little bit smaller because I'm going to have to overlap mine, so I would probably suggest 2 3/4 inch in width for the Dad fixes everything. Now, if you don't have Cricut, all you need to do is find a sentiment that you want on the front. And if you are able to create a hammer, or if you want a screwdriver or a pencil or ruler, you could use a ruler on there. If you have some fabric or washi tape that has, you know, like a measuring tape on it, that would be awesome as well. So don't be limited by what I'm showing you. This is really just an example to spark inspiration. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to glue down my sentiment first, and I'm going to end up having my hammer here. To attach my hammer to the belt, what I've done is I've created the letter U here. Again, I cut this out of foil. Now, if you have a U in alpha that you have in your stash, you could certainly use that if it's wide enough for your purposes. So what I'm going to do with the U is put the hammer neck on the inside and hang it. I'm not going to glue the hammer down because I want them to be able to take the hammer out if they want. I don't know. I doubt that they will, but you know, just 'cause. So I'm going to have the sentiment glued down, and I'm going to put this over top of it, and it will go over just the little bit of the G, really the curlicue part of it. So this will go over here. It's hard to hold this up. Let me bring you down. Okay, so I'll have my sentiment here. I'm going to take the hammer, put the U around the neck, sentiment here, hammer here, and then I'm going to bring it really close to the edge, just all the way to the edge there, as you can see the hammer. So what it covers is really just the curlicue on the G. So I'm going to take some Tim Holtz nail heads, and I'm going to attach them to the top here to make this a little bit decorative, as if it was hanging from the belt. And then I'm not going to glue down anything but the very tips of this U. So you get the idea. I wish I had one of those sticker making gadgets, because that would have been a lot easier than adding glue to all of these individual letters. Oh, did I miss that? I think I did. Okay. I love that. Dad fixes everything. This is so suitable for my dad. He worked at a trust company for many, many years, and he was the superintendent or something like that there. And he is a great person to do construction work with, or rebuilding, refixing, building, you know, love that. Okay, so next is the U. I used adhesive tape to glue the tops of the U there. Okay, now that our front is done, we're going to move to the inside of the card. Now, I was going to do something else, and then I changed my mind. So what I decided to do was some sewing on my machine. So I actually had to take this whole unit off, and it easily came off without tearing too much. So I was able to put it back on, and you can't even tell. But what I did was sewed all the way around this strip, because, you know, the tool belts, you can see the sewing, which makes it kind of neat. So there you can see I did do sewing all the way around it and stopped here. And then I sewed 2 pieces that will be the pockets for the tool belt. I'll give you the size of this smaller one. It is 3 1/4 by 3 3/8. The larger one is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. And then I did this in Cricut, so I cut them out, and then I took this and then I sliced out part of the piece so that I could make a little pocket. So I'll have that, and I'll be putting that on there as well. But as you can see, I sewed these pieces individually so that I could put them together. And we'll add them right here. And then, of course, I have these little nail heads from Tim Holtz that I'll be putting on right here, kind of putting them in line with the other ones. But that's what this is going to look like, and I have little tools that I'm going to be putting in the pockets, and maybe a little note to my dad. So I'm going to glue the rest of this down, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so here we are, the final review. I am absolutely loving this. So what I did with Cricut Design Space is created these little miniature tools. I have a little screwdriver here. Sorry, I got glue all over my hands. Here is a, I don't know, what are these, pliers? Super cute. Over here, I have one of those like metal T-type measuring thingamajiggies. I know my dad has one, I've seen it. And a pencil. Super cute. I love these little minis. And the wrench. I love this. This was real easy to create in Cricut Design Space. And a little measuring tape. So tiny. Now, how I did this is I used those pockets from Target, the adhesive ones, the label ones, and I had already cut it down. So I just cut off a little bit of it and put it on here. I was going to glue it on, but I wanted to, again, be able to have them be able to pick it up and look at it if you wanted to. So that just tucks right into that little see-through pocket. So that was our card today. I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have, and I hope you make one. And if you do, please tag me. I'd love to see it. See you next time.